Page 97, Tarantella, or Tarantella, or however you want to pronounce it, I don't care. We'll talk about counting 6/8 time in 2. I've already talked about feeling 6/8 time in 2 because, as I said before, a lot of marches are written in 6/8 time. You got a left, right, left, right. Well, the key signature, the time signature is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're feeling them in 2. So we've already covered this idea. We just got to do it. Tarantella is generally written in 6/8 time, and it's usually a happy, fast little piece. They're fun to play if you can get all the notes in. And it has that 2 feel. Type thing where the left hand is reinforcing that 2 beat feel. And I hope those chords make sense to you if you're familiar with the key of A minor. This piece is in A minor because you look at the key signature and think, okay, it's in C major. No, it's not. Remember, for each major there's a relative minor. That is a minor that's related to it. That is a minor with the same key signature. And in this case it's A minor. So how do you know when you look at a piece if it's going to be the major or minor? Well, you learn to listen and you'll hear a difference between a major key and a minor key. They just sound different. Also, usually, actually, most of the time, not all, but most of the time, you can look at the end of the piece and whatever chord it's ending on is the key it's in. Most pieces will end on the chord. So if we look at the end of the piece and you automatically go down to the bottom of the page, right? But look out because it has a DC fine there. It's not the end of the piece. DC, go back to the beginning, fine, go to fine. You got to find the fine now to find the end of the piece. So if you look around and you'll see the fine is at the end of the second line. That's the end of the piece. That's where we got to go. Where does it end? It ends the last notes played. That is an A minor chord. We just doubled the A, big deal. So it's in the key of A minor. Those chords in the left hand, for the first couple of lines, are the 1 chord in A minor and the 5/7 chord. Remember the primary chords? Well, easy enough. When you can see these things and understand them, it makes learning the piece and actually sight reading it so much easier. Really, it does. When you get down to the 3rd line, the melody goes to the left hand. Remember about bringing out the melody, playing it a little louder. So now you're going to play one hand louder than the other, which is what you normally do. We didn't do it in modulation or in tumbling because when you're doing those arpeggiated chords, they're all melody, if there is a melody. So here, the right hand gets it at first. Keep the left hand soft. But then whenever you get down to the 3rd line, now the left hand gets the melody. So keep the right hand soft. We want to hear the left hand. There is one little tricky thing I will point out in here. Maybe you caught it when I demoed that. 3rd line down or 4th line down, it's the same. First 2 measures in the right hand. You have a B, G. The B, the bottom note, is tight. You're not going to play it again, you're going to hold it down for the next measure. But in the top line, you're going from a G to an F. So you're going to hold the B down and play the F in the second measure by itself, or just play it but hold the B down. And for a lot of people, that's tricky. So however much you got to practice to be able to do that, that's your assignment. Do that because it is important. I talked about working with metronomes before, and I'll repeat it because it's important. When you're working with a metronome and you're kind of in the middle where you're not really fast or really slow or anything, you can put the metronome usually on what you're counting. So if you're counting quarter notes, you put the metronome on quarter notes, you're fine. When you get to the extremes, or really fast or really slow, or things are weird, you have to put the metronome on other notes other than the beat. So a lot of times in 6/8 time, because 6/8 time can go pretty quick, these eighth notes go pretty quick, we wouldn't put the metronome on eighth notes, because if we did, it would look like this. I'll try following that for a while, and if that doesn't drive you to drink, I don't know what would, but it's like that. Because that's the beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So instead of that mess, I don't want to do that, we put the metronome on something a little more toward the middle that we can follow more easily. And in this case, since it's felt in 2, then I'm going to put the metronome on what we feel, on the 2 beats per measure. So I put it on with the equivalent of a dotted quarter note. That's worth 3 eighth notes. So it's like 1, 2, 1, 2. Well, then the eighth note is actually counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's much easier. It's the same speed as what I just did, except now the metronome isn't going crazy and I can follow this. So here, the left hand, each beat is going to be a left hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's when you work with a metronome, you have to adjust these things. And that's the speed we're going to try this. It might be a little fast for you, but try it one hand at a time if you have to. It's okay. I'm going to give us 6 eighth note counts. Now we're going to begin. 6 eighth note counts is going to be 2 of those beats on the metronome. It's just going to be ready and go and so let's try this out slowly together and see what happens. Just for kicks and giggles, you know. We'll check the notes and the rhythms and make sure. Rhythms aren't hard, it's pretty straightforward. But the notes, let's just double check the notes. Now I put the metronome on 40. 1 and go and